All right, welcome everybody to tonight's Committee of the Whole on Tuesday, July 15th at 6:30 p.m. Can I get a roll call?
Finkler.
Here.
Hammer is excused. Lawson.
Here.
Meyer.
Here.
Reed.
Here.
Relke, I'm assuming is absent. Rosted.
Here.
I acknowledge this meeting was posted and noticed according to law.
All right, I'll entertain a motion, or a motion to approve the agenda.
So move. Second.
All right, we got a first from Alder Rostad and a second from Alder Meyer. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Anybody signed up for public comment?
No.
Okay. Move on to new business. So first we have a presentation by Jason Letha on the city street plan.
All right, thanks, Molly. David, can you flip the screen? I got a presentation. It's been in your packet. Hopefully everybody had a chance to review it, study it. There'll be a test after this. We thought it would be a good idea to kind of get in front of the council and talk a little bit about streets. Obviously, with budget season coming up, capital plans, borrowing, some other things going on. We just kind of wanted to cover this. It's been a while since I've been in. Some people may have seen this already, Trina, or a version of this anyways. There's some current or updated data in here. So we'll get kicked off as David kind of gets that going here. I want to just take 1 minute just to announce to everybody about the current construction related to streets. The 73 project is going to have a storm sewer that's going to be crossed or dug under the road between Faith and Fairway for the Cardinal Heights development. So that's the piece that needs to serve that development. That will happen next week. I'll try it again here. That will happen next week, or is planning on happening next week. So the plan would be to ultimately shut the road down after morning traffic gets out. So the plan would be to let all the traffic kind of commute out of town or whatever people need to do to get around in the morning to get their coffee, and then the plan would be to shut down the road Tuesday after traffic about 9 a.m. and then it'll be down for a couple days. The detour will be Avalon to Farnham Street or State Highway 89. So again, we'll just be routing local traffic within town. You'll still have access to all of the businesses. You'll still have access to Tower Drive, to Park Avenue. So that's all going to be still operational while this detour is in progress. They're hoping to have that down Thursday before traffic or the evening traffic kind of comes back into town. So I just want to kind of put out an announcement for everybody so everybody's aware as you'll start seeing some signs go up. It's just a one-time thing, and hopefully that'll be it until the paving happens. The paving on 73 by the state, my understanding, will be a couple weeks out yet after the railroad work is done. That's currently closed. So again, just a reminder, everybody, for the closures to stay out of the closed areas as we have that construction going on. My understanding is when they're going to mill and pave, they will be doing that under traffic. So they will have construction, kind of a moving construction zone set up, flaggers, different things going on. So I think that's my announcement. So Matt's going to take care of the slides for me, and we'll kind of go through this here and see if there's any questions when we're done. So we just want to talk about the road ratings and forecasting a little bit, how, when, where, why. Like, how do we do this, why, the reasons, how, kind of what Columbus looks like compared to other places or communities. So tonight we're just going to kind of cover this. I'll go through this pretty quick. There's a lot of information here, so I'm happy to answer questions at the end. So the next slide, Matt. On this slide, you'll see a couple things. So why do we do this? The state requires us to do this. So every other year, odd years, this being 2025 odd year, we have to do the ratings. We'll talk a little bit about that. The reason we have to do those is the state basically pays the city state local road aid check every year, and that's based off of you complying with rating your roads and managing your roads. So again, it's kind of a cause and effect thing. Also, as part of this is the annual road certification. If there's right-of-ways vacated or right-of-ways added, those type of things get included in this road rating thing as well. That counts towards the mileage of your roads. We do those roads typically rate those roads typically in the spring or fall. We like to do them on sunny days. After rain is okay, not during rain. We can see a lot of cracks in pavements and water drainage issues going on after a rainfall. You currently have about 27 miles of street. All of that is paved roadway. Some is concrete. Most is asphalt. And there is one short block of gravel. If anybody cares to guess where that is, you can. Percentage of roads rated better than fair in 2015. So this little graphic on the side is one of my favorite ones. It's a little dated. I doubt the information has changed. But the point I make with this is, as I do a lot of work in different communities, the thing that I hear in every community is we have the worst roads in the state. That's not actually true. Many communities have better roads than their neighbors, even though they seem to think that they hold the blue ribbon award. So you guys actually do pretty good overall, but you can kind of see a breakdown here of different locations around the state and how well roads are in some different areas. So again, that's just a general kind of breakdown. If you go to the next slide, this is your breakdown. It's a little hard to see. Maybe you can see it on your hard copies or on your digital copies. We have done road ratings, or I have been involved in the road ratings here since 2007. And what we've done is we've kind of tracked this historically for trends. So we can kind of understand how well we're doing, what the roads look like, what are the outcomes of the ratings. And so when you look at this, and we'll get into the rating scale in a minute, but obviously the roads rated 1s and 2s are the worst, the roads rating 9 and 10 are the best. So if you look at this graph, you'll see that there's some trends that are going on here. One thing is that our really poor roads, we don't seem to really get more poor roads because we're fixing them. As they get worse, we fix them, we move them back up to 9s and 10s. So those two categories are continuously pretty much just swapping roads. The categories in between are more maintenance related. So those are overlays or patching or slurry seal or crack seal. And you can see that if you question why we have a lot of decline in the 7 to 8 category, we did, I think, 26 blocks of street reconstruction back in 2007. That's aged to the point now where it's starting to move into the 5-6 category. So you see every couple years when we rate, you see those old roads, you know, they're pushing 20 years old. They're starting to fall into that kind of fair category. And so that's where you see that category climbing pretty quickly because we have a lot of volume of roads that were about the same age, and they're all starting to age now. We're trying to take care of them, and I think we're doing an okay job, but that's kind of the reason why you see this big fall off and trend towards these streets moving a little worse. But the good news is about 74.24% I calculated are in that 5 to 10 rating range, which the state considers fair. Again, so I think that's doing a pretty good job. The next slide is just a little bit about kind of, again, the new roads are the 9s and 10s, the poor roads, again, the fair in the middle. Just want to kind of give you the PACER rating definition of those. Talk a little bit about what we're looking for when we're rating. So we're looking for surface defects in pavement. We're looking for surface deformation. So that could be rutting, could be other things associated with that. We're looking for pavement cracking. Pavement cracking is indicative of poor subgrades. Could be bad soils. It could be drainage making the subgrade wet. There's a lot of reasons why cracking is kind of a telltale sign of what we're looking at. Potholes and patching. Potholes, obviously, we know that we see those around. We're generally patching those, but that's also a sign of kind of road condition and what's going on underneath the surface. Next slide. So we just had some pictures here. The other thing that we do look at is what we call raveling. It's a little hard to see in this picture, but that's when the surface gets a little rough. You still have the aggregate stone in place, but the asphalt fines and the aggregates kind of come out of there. When roads ravel, they're not necessarily bad, but it's kind of an indication that they're starting to degrade. We want to get those sealed up. We want to get those covered up so they last longer. The next picture is rutting. You can kind of see when you see these depressions or series of potholes along curb lines and stuff, that's rutting. Stormwater makes the subgrade soft. Traffic trucks, cars, things like that will cause those areas to settle along the curb, further exacerbating the issue of the water getting into the curb and getting off the drainage of the road. So again, that's really just kind of an indication of some poor subgrade and some stormwater damage to pavement. Cracking is the next one. Lots of cracking. I don't know if I'll lose you here, but there's transverse, longitudinal, block, and alligator. We'll kind of look at examples of those in the next few slides. Transverse, this is probably a crack you could see in anywhere town USA. It's just a crack going across the street perpendicular to travel. Those are pretty typical. Asphalt is a flexible pavement. It moves around as it gets old, it gets brittle, it cracks. And so what we try and do is we try and patch those up. So that's an example of what we call transverse cracking. You'll see the next picture here as well. You see some examples. These are sealed cracks. Again, when we talk about crack sealing, these are the ones that we want to clean out, route out, put some mastic in there to seal them up. That mastic is flexible, keeps the water out of there, and obviously extends the life of your pavement. The next picture is longitudinal cracking. What you're getting here is you're getting the wheel path cracking. So as you drive down highways, I notice it, most of you maybe not, but you can see where all the cars continuously travel in the same part of the lane, and that's where you start to see this cracking. It's the loading causing stress on the pavement, which starts to crack that old kind of brittle asphalt. Once that crack forms, water gets into it, and that's where you start to see the deterioration or potholing in series along that crack. So again, these are all telltale signs that we're looking for when we're doing rating and how we rate. Block cracking, that's where you actually get rectangular or square looking blocks within the pavement. There's different sizes of block cracking, and some of the small stuff we call alligator cracking, if you will. These are usually indications of underlying pavement failures, subgrade, poor subgrade. These are things that obviously, once they start to fail, go fairly quickly. So we'll lose a road. Once we start seeing this cracking, those ratings will drop off pretty quick. We might go from a rated 4 or 5 1 year to a 1 or 2 in a couple years. So these are roads that really need to be repaired. Here's an example of some of that longitudinal cracking I was talking about. You can see where all the potholes become the road surface, right? We patch it enough that now it's not even the original surface anymore. Indicative again of a failing subgrade, a road that's getting really poorly rated, and we got to look at what we do with that from a treatment standpoint. So, few pictures. We're out there, we're driving around in our vehicles, we're looking at these roads, we're giving it a rating 1 to 10. So it's obvious the easy ones are excellent, 9s and 10s. There's some varying differences in that, but generally you're a 9 or a 10, you're almost new or brand new, fresh pavement. An 8 is a very good road. Again, you're looking at this road, it looks probably new to most people. We're starting to see some minor cracking going on here. It's very tight or it's very sealed, but it's kind of the first indications. These roads that are rated 8 are generally 3 to 5 years old. Newly reconstructed roads, again, all roads crack. So again, that's what we're looking for on an 8. A 7 and a 6 are good. These are ones where we're starting to see some of those transverse cracks go across the road. These are the ones that you're going to see us crack sealing. So there's some crack seal bids that came through here, I think, for some contractors here a couple weeks ago. This is what we have them out fixing, this type of road. So we're seeing that they're coming in, they're fixing the cracks at this stage before the roads get worse. The next group are 4s and 5s. These get a little more tricky. There is some more cracking here. We're starting to see some block cracking. We're seeing some transverse. Maybe we're seeing some longitudinal cracking, bigger cracks. Maybe not, where we're losing the surface yet. We're not seeing the rutting or the raveling. So again, just rating these as 4s or 5s are pretty easy. Once you kind of recognize them. 3s are where you're starting to see big areas of potholes, water standing on roads, causing the surface to ravel. Again, this is a pretty good picture of what we would call a poor road or a 3. Once we get into this category, the 1s and 2s and 3s, we're almost destined to rebuild them, reconstruct them. That's where the bigger costs come in. So you really can't maintain a 3 very well. It's almost kind of a waste of money to try and slurry seal it or cover it up. A 2, the picture indicates here, there's extensive cracking. We say pulverize or rebuild. Again, you're taking the entire surface off. Most times there's underlying drainage issues that really kind of point it towards a reconstruct. And then number one, the next slide is pretty obvious. A couple of you might have a street like this in front of your house. We do have some out there, but they are roads that we have on our capital plan. So as we kind of go forward this year and look at our streets capital plan and start to look at updating that, these will be the type of roads and kind of examples of stuff that we're going to be bringing forward to talk about rebuilding. So you'll see there'll definitely be a need for these 1s, 2s, and 3s when we bring them forward. So I'm going to pause there. That's just kind of an overview of the program, what everything is. I'm going to get into the maintenance and some of the strategies and money here in a minute, but I wanted to kind of just pause and see if anybody had any questions on the rating, the Whistler part, how we go about it, what it looks like. All right. So maintenance is strategy. So asphalt roads, again, we talked a little bit about this. We're going to get 15 to 20 years minimum out of that. Our goal is to stretch it to 30 years. There's a lot of factors that go into this, but, on average, those are kind of the goals that we're looking for. A lot of the roads, that we talked about in that graph in that 2007 timeframe are in that range. So again, we're kind of getting to the end of pavement life for the asphalt, but we do have ways to maintain that. So if we maintain it, we can get 30 years out of it typically. Obviously, poor roads with little maintenance, we can reduce those lifespans up to 15 years. So again, it is kind of this cycle of rebuilding the roads, trying to maintain them, they degrade, putting money back into them. So the next graph kind of shows you a little bit of kind of that discussion I was talking about when we decide to maintain, when we decide to rebuild. There's a lot going on in this graph, but I think the important part is to understand the top black line is the cost. When the road is excellent, that road quality will drop off. And as that road quality drops off, the value to fix that road becomes much higher. So there's kind of a threshold or crossing point. This kind of graph illustrates that the difference between maintenance cost and rebuild costs are about 10 to 1. So for every dollar you're spending on maintenance, if you're spending $100,000 a year, and we'll get into your budget numbers later, but that's $1 million to reconstruct that road versus $100,000 to maintain it. So we want to catch those early. And again, we'll talk about what you guys have done historically, which I think has been a great job of maintaining roads here. But understand, you get to this cliff, and once you fall off, it gets really expensive. So, again, improvements extend the functional life of the pavement. We want to do those prior to failure, and we want to budget separately for maintenance. Some communities will just throw road money together, and it's difficult because we always want to make sure that we are doing maintenance. Very rarely do we want to skip that unless there's great reason, emergency, or some other things. I think the city has done an excellent job of borrowing for the capital and doing the reconstructs and putting the maintenance in the regular budget. I think that's been a great way that you guys have done it. The next slide here is a common cause for failure. We talked a lot about drainage. I can't stress enough that the main reason roads fail is stormwater, water, drainage, things going on. I would get in an argument with anybody about traffic does not kill roads. It's, water getting in the subbase, making it soft, and then the traffic is what causes that. But it's truly the stormwater is the origin of the problem. So you can see some examples here of where you see the water doesn't get drained into the curb. That's where the road's going to fail. You'll see in the middle where the rutting is, that's where the potholes are, that's where the water is, that's where the road's failing. So again, it's always important to have proper drainage. When you see us rebuild roads, typically we will come in and we will be enhancing the storm sewer. I always add extra inlets. I always extend the pipe out if we need to. Years ago, the methodology was we could run stormwater 3-4 blocks and pick it up down at the end. That's not my opinion, because we have too much potential for that water to get into the subgrade and to make the pavement fail sooner. So again, stormwater will be a big part of that. And then again, the next page kind of shows the cracking. What happens here, you can see the truck's loading the pavement and it depresses the soft soil. That's where the crack and the potholing occurs. Have another picture there if you haven't seen enough yet. of the failure for water to get into the curb on the bottom there. That's just, again, poor drainage. So the maintenance piece. Next slide, we're talking about crack sealing. Probably your best bang for your buck. Crack sealing is relatively inexpensive. We can crack seal a lot of road. Keeps that water out of the subgrade. We always allocate at least 50% of the maintenance budget every year, unless if we feel like we've got to the point where we're caught up. One of the things that I've always told everybody is crack sealing alone can probably extend the life of your pavement 5 years with no other maintenance. Just crack seal it once or twice, you'll get at least another 5 years out of it. We always try and stagger our crack sealing in Columbus to be crack seal 1 year, and then we'll come back and we'll seal coat or slurry seal the road the following year. So we want to seal up those cracks before we put a new wear surface on it. Again, just kind of a 1-2 punch. Those things work pretty well with the maintenance piece. The next slide here, this is an example of the water. When I say keep it out of the road base, here's a crack that hasn't been sealed. You can see pretty clearly on the image, the water's just running across the pavement and going straight into the subbase. So I can tell you that it looks like the surface isn't in bad shape today. It won't be long and there'll be potholes here. So that's the thing that we want to make sure that we're covering up with the crack seal. So the slurry seal. The next slide, we're going to talk a little bit about slurry. We do use slurry. There's two types of true seal coats in my mind that put down wear surface. One's a chip seal. You probably heard that term. That's the pea gravel. They put down the oil, they lay the pea gravel, makes a mess. There's dust everywhere. There's little rocks flying, hitting windshields. Not very popular, I can tell you. We've done it in town once. We've heard about that. We've contemplated doing it more, and I've advocated for not because I don't want the phone calls. But the slurry seal goes down as an emulsion. It's a wet stone-based slurry. So they put it down and they spread it when it doesn't fly up, or it's mixed with the asphalt emulsion. That's what we use. That wear surface is pretty good. Again, we're probably looking at minimal closure. It does seal up the pavement. We want to crack seal ahead of the slurry seals. And again, a slurry seal will last. There were some streets that I know that were slurry sealed in town in 2005, and a lot of it's scraped off with the plow. It happens over time, but there's still streets where I drive down and go, I know the street was slurry sealed in 2005, and it's still 50% slurry sealed. So good applications can last quite a while, but they will be damaged. They're just a maintenance activity here. So that's kind of the difference between the two of them. But again, I think these are pretty effective treatments, and as part of our maintenance program, we do try and work in most years some type of slurry, or well, not chip seal, but slurry seal. There is also just a seal coat, which is what most people use to cover their driveway with. We don't do that with roads. We always put the wear surface in with the seal. So just in case anybody was wondering, when they're seeing their neighbor out putting the tar on their driveway, it's not the same. Other types of maintenance. From time to time, we mix in what we call overlays. So there are some streets that are really poor that we don't have utilities to improve under, or we think the subgrade is relatively decent. Sometimes we'll do these overlays, and those hold up pretty well generally. Again, they're really sub-base dependent. I've shown everybody in town a couple times when I've been working here where we've made a mistake. We've overlaid a block, and within 5 years it's terrible. We usually are pretty savvy about that. We usually understand which ones those are, but every once in a while we see one and say, well, we should try and overlay it and see what happens. And it usually doesn't turn out very well if it's a bad sub-base, but there are factors. This picture actually, I believe, was Chapel Street or Thayer. I think this was Thayer last year. We had the two streets out by the cemetery that go up the hill that are dead ends. We overlaid both of those with maintenance money. They were rated like 1s and 2s, and we cleaned them up. They were good candidates. So, and the last thing what we do with maintenance is we tend to patch. We don't patch a lot. The reason is patching gets pretty expensive. And really the real reason we patch is we might have a relatively decent street that has a very poor area in it, and we just want to prolong that street till we can get to a street reconstruct. So we do patching sometimes. I think a couple of years ago we did a pretty big batch of patching around town, but mostly we stick with the overlays, the slurries, and the cracks for our maintenance. Next slide, this just shows the slurry. This is a couple-year-old slurry. Again, it's still covering the road pretty well. You can see our crack sealing program there. Moving forward, we're on to the CIP. So in 2010, originally there was a streets plan developed where we talked about a lot of this, and there were some recommendations that came out of that street plan, again, 15 years ago. So the city was thinking about this a long time ago, asking the right questions. We had recommended, as an engineer, we had recommended spending about $500,000 annually on reconstructs and about $50,000 annually for crack sealing. We'll look at the actual numbers as we get to the last couple slides here. These funding levels were determined to be levels that were break even or slightly above break even. So again, just maintaining your roads or treading water. You weren't going to take all your bad roads and make them great with those funding levels, but it was something that the council felt like it was affordable, and it was something that they could do to keep those ratings up because we had pretty high ratings at the time. That plan was updated once, some changes in there. Various councils have had requested different information, had slight variances to what we do with the program. But most of them have stayed the course and kind of followed these recommendations to some level. In 2023, there was your first CIP kind of rolled out that came out of kind of putting together the true CIP. We're a few years into that. There's a few nuances. Things have changed. We do have West School Street on the radar for 2026. That still is hopefully the plan if you guys so choose to move that forward. But we're also recommending, like any good plan, we should probably take a look at it, right? We should say, does it, what's still on that plan make sense? Do we need to update it? Do we need to change it? Are we going to change the funding levels? There's things that we should talk about. If the plan's fine, that's great. If it's not, let's tweak it a little bit and roll out. I think an update would be recommended from our part. So, how do we pick streets? I think you're one ahead of me, Matt. How do we pick streets? So I want everybody to know that there's a bunch of things that go into streets. So I don't pick them alone. Nobody picks them alone. We pick them as a group. We talk about the need. We talk about it with utilities. For every road we reconstruct, for every dollar we spend on the road, we spend $1 on the underground utilities, sewer and water. So if it's a $1 million project for road work, it's a $1 million project for utilities. Together, it's a $2 million project. Rule of thumb. So it's obviously important to the utilities to be at the table. We talk about things like I&I for sanitary sewer. Is it a clay sewer? Is it an undersized sewer? Do we have issues with laterals? Do we need to fix it? Do we have homes backing up? Sanitary plays a big role in our decision. Water main, we got a whole bunch of undersized water main in town from many years back. We have water main of poor quality that was post-World War II ductile iron that's brittle, that tends to break a lot. Lead service replacements, those factor into the streets that we select. That's probably primarily the reason we go, because there's so much money invested in the underground utilities. So we find roads that are rated very poor. We find utilities that are very poor. That's the roads that we tend to bring forward. Traffic volume plays into this. When we look at it, we're looking at roads that get a lot of traffic. A lot of those roads haven't been designed properly for some of the loading that we see nowadays as developments occurred, businesses have gone in. We take that into consideration. Obviously, the pavement rating, that speaks for itself. And then other factors, we talk about crash rates. Are we getting grants? A lot of times we do get grants for some of this, whether it's LRIP, whether it's the discretionary grant for LRIP or some other kind of funding, safety funding that we get for this. We kind of factor that in through, I think we got a STP grant for Tower Drive. That's a DOT project. A lot of times when this connecting highways were rebuilt, James Street, 89, now 73 being repaved, we're in those projects with the state working together. So those kind of rise up to the top and displace other projects. Because again, those are our main trunk lines, our main arteries. The table you see at the bottom of this slide has a lot of information in. We have this for most every street in town. So we're looking at curb condition, base condition, other notes, sewer, water, storm, Whistler rating, pavement type, year that it was originally constructed. So a lot of data here that we have, which is great to help make those decisions. Next slide. Here's the maintenance slide. So it's kind of little, but what I want you to realize here is we have tracked this since 2009. The city has done a pretty good job on average. They have budgeted about $75,000 annually on average across all those years. We've spent $75,000. on average across that. Our recommendation, if you recall, was 50,000. So again, I think the city has been ahead of this. The maintenance money has continued to grow. I think it's up to about, the numbers are close. I don't know that they're perfect, but I think they're about 105,000 with the county aid built in. I highlighted the two cells that were less than 105. You say, well, why don't we spend all of our maintenance money? We hold some of that back for patching and some unplanned things that come up in DPW. They need some money. We try and spend it with the contractors, do our crack and slurry, but we always want to hold a little money back to make sure that we can handle those patches, potholes, things that might come up last minute. So maintenance, I would say, is an A+ for you guys. Very happy with the way you guys have handled maintenance. Next slide is the reconstruct money. There's a real busy slide here too, a lot of numbers on here. This does include the utilities. You see your $500,000 recommended on the street plan, and I think the average has been about $300,000 annually. Some years it's been a substantial amount spent, way above the $500,000. Other years there hasn't been a lot spent for various reasons. I did list the streets on the right-hand column here, just right of the graph. I do want to note that the project for 2013, that was the street project, was a new construction for Gateway and Heritage out by Interpack. I also want to note that 2018, the city had invested the money, debt money, or the borrowing into Hall Road, which is out by Drexel and Fromm. Those I took out of here because they were new roads. They weren't rebuilding old roads. So I want to track the reconstruct money, but I want to give the city credit for spending funds to improve the infrastructure and to expand the infrastructure. So as a whole, I think there's been a definite focus on trying to achieve those goals. Again, the street reconstruct has been kind of a little bit more variable than the maintenance. So next slide is the end. Any questions for me?
Going back to your 2023 street CIP, do you have a hairball estimate of what the school street 2026 project will come in at with the recommendation to reevaluate? That's the first one of two.
Yeah, so we're going to be potentially, with your direction, bringing forward a contract for engineering services to do the work. We'll revisit that and update that number. I feel confident about the number that's in there. That is street work. There will be utilities work in there as well. So that's only the street portion. So again, if you're using the 2-to-1 rule, the total project cost is probably going to be about twice what you see in here. But we will definitely update that and make sure before we get too far down the path that that'll be one of the first things we'll do under contract is double check the estimate, make sure that we have everything accounted for as we get into looking at the borrowing. We're also applying for a grant for that, by the way. The LRIP discretionary is generally around $400,000 to $500,000. We think we have a good case due to safety, pedestrian improvements, with the school being present on this stretch. And so we're going to throw our hat in the ring, and you don't always get them, but if we can get it, that's $500,000.
Perfect. Second thing is, do we plan on extending this out to back to the 10-year mark for the CIP? I see that this graph ends in 2032.
The intent is on August 6th, when we discuss CIP, that we'll have an updated 10-year street plan to present and get some feedback and discussion on.
Perfect.
Alder Reed?
Oh, thank you. I really enjoyed the presentation. I thought it covered quite an extensive amount of information. Loved all the graphs, so thank you. I had a super quick question from a constituent earlier today, inquiring about Waterloo. So just wanted to ask if there's any kind of time frame for that one.
Yeah, Waterloo's been one of those sections. There's various sections that are in various conditions on Waterloo. Some of that work was done probably just before I became engineer in 2000, maybe 4 or 5. I know there was a reconstruct on the end towards James Street. We've done a bunch of overlays with county aid money, which again, we're getting matching funds, 1-for-1 there. So if we spend $20,000, they give us $20,000. So we've been doing as many overlays as we can. We know the road's not great. We know the curb's not great, but I think the wear surface, the drive surface is pretty good. There is one small section on Waterloo yet that we haven't got to. that's maybe 300 feet long or 200 feet long, that's in pretty poor condition, rated pretty poor. I'd like to overlay that at that point. I think Waterloo's probably good for a while. We'll probably put maintenance money into it over time, but you know, that is a big street. That's probably as big a chunk as anything we've ever tackled if we did all of Waterloo. So even if we would want to do Waterloo at some point in the future, I feel like utilities are relatively good condition on that street. I probably wouldn't recommend biting that one off quite yet unless we have a particular reason or issue. I would think we would just kind of go with what we got, overlay it, and then probably maintain it for a while.
Alder Lawson?
Do we have a similar rating system in all this documentation on sidewalks and trails?
We are working through what our sidewalk maintenance program looks like. There is a lot of need in that area, and it's something that I know Dwayne's here tonight. I know it's something that we've talked through, and it's on the list to come up with a consistent sidewalk maintenance program that blends replacing and putting in new sections, but also looking at grinding and even using some of the raised lower foam product, or like raising foam products where appropriate, to just try and make sure that we're being comprehensive in how we look at things and trying to look at costs as well. Obviously, one of the big things is when we reconstruct a street, obviously that's when sidewalks are done, but we need that intermediary program that addresses some of our challenges out there.
And I can tell you, Michael, that there is some assessment for the sidewalks already done that we have, but not all of it citywide. And usually I'm working with DPW fairly closely. So for example, there was some assessment in sidewalk on West School Street, and I said, I'll scratch that off your list because we're going to pick it up with a reconstruct in 26. So, you know, there is efforts and there are foundations for that plan there. I would say it probably just needs to be expanded or enhanced a little bit from where it's at.
I'll use this as a soapbox opportunity. When you get in communities that have really good preventative maintenance programs, and I'm not saying we're there, you develop quadrants. And so the city's divided into, say, 4 or 5 quadrants. You go through a 4 or 5 year program where you're going to assess all the sidewalks in that quadrant in a given year, and you've got funding to repair that quadrant. And the current approach is, if something's really, 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 really bad, we're going to replace it. And I'd love to move to getting to a quadrant program for not just sidewalks, but also things like tree pruning. Instead of hopping all over the place, we can be more targeted and more efficient if we get to a quadrant program. The problem with getting to a quadrant program is establishing it and having support to establish it. So as we bring a program forward, that'll be one of the options that we'll talk through.
All right, any other questions for Jason? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, next we have is consideration of Tower Drive housing project concepts. Mike?
Yes, thank you.
Is your,
There we go. It's been a little while since we talked about this, but we've been busy doing some work. We have 2 site concepts to a higher density version and a lower density version. We also have a public information approach set up that we'll be getting to. So this is really, tonight is your first look at this project. We'll go out, get some public feedback, and then we'll bring this back to the council probably in August. So if we go to site concept number 1, this is the higher density version that has a 45 unit, 3-story apartment on it, as well as 16 townhomes at the north end. One of the things in both concepts we really focused on is limiting the number of access points on the Tower Drive, since it's a
a collector street. And then we also maintain the community garden at the south end. Another aspect is the trail that kind of ends to the east a little bit, trying to extend that through the property and possibly over to Redbud Trail because our Redbud Trail neighborhood, because they are separated from the rest of the city from a pedestrian standpoint. And then, so there is some estimates in the memo regarding the estimated value of what this project would be. Site concept 2 is a lower density version, and that has duplexes, which also have the option to potentially be twin homes, and then still 8 townhomes at the north end of the property. So this is a little bit lower scale, and I think this concept is about less than 50% of the value of the first concept. And then we have an image board that kind of shows kind of some of the facades and what it could look like from the street. So you can see some concepts there, we emphasize rear entry, rear garages, so you have more of the facade of the homes facing Tower Drive. So you have a little bit nicer, you have fewer garage doors to look at. So our public information approach is, one, we have a website set up with an online comment form. So, and we'll be getting some social media posts on this. We have a neighborhood meeting planned to be held at Zion Lutheran Church in the gymnasium on July 31st. We're going to notify property owners in that neighborhood near this property, so they will get a notice asking for their participation. And then we're also going to be at National Night Out, and we'll have these on boards. And so everyone in the community, of course, everyone in the community can participate in any of these. So we'll get our feedback and bring them back to council for direction and feedback from you guys with your thoughts. So with that, comments, questions?
Alder Reed?
Oh, thank you. It's probably not a very useful question, but wondering, would we be likely to have the buildings made in the presented style? Because it is very lovely.
If we put this out for a request for bid, we could potentially include some type of architectural requirements in the sale of the property. I'm sure. So that could be a requirement, I think, right, Paul? We could do that?
They can, yes.
Alder Lawson?
At one point, was there discussion about moving the community gardens over to the
Butterfly Garden.
Butterfly Garden
That's what I thought I
area?
heard too.
I think maybe that's been an idea out there. I don't know if the demand is out there for 2 community gardens or if where that's playing out, but the area to the south of the property, there's a lot of floodplain down there, so the idea is to try to utilize that in some way.
Yeah, I'd love to see a dog park.
Ooh. Matt, did you have something to add on the Butterfly Gardens? Nope. Okay. Alder Reed?
Oh, no. Yeah, I remember the plan of moving the butterfly gardens, but the possibility of having a higher density population. I love the idea of having, not butterfly garden, the community garden. I love the idea of having the community garden there as a feature for folks that might not have space to garden.
Any other comments or questions? Alder Lawson?
Yeah, so both of these show a private drive, right? So that's not a city street.
Correct.
So the property owners, presumably would have to be some kind of HOA form to help funnel money to maintain
And that's when those trade-offs with trying to limit the access points on Tower Drive is, you know, we gain some traffic safety with fewer access points, and I think you gain some better aesthetics from the public street and right away that way.
Yeah, I think unfortunately sometimes that makes the more affordable housing less affordable.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, it kind of depends on what's all included in the HOA services. If it's basic, like lawn maintenance and snow plowing, then it's probably not too bad. As soon as you start adding community centers, fitness centers, all those kinds of things, it gets more challenging.
All right. Any other questions, comments? All right, thanks, Mike. Next, consideration of membership in the National Volunteer Fire Council. Matt, is this you? Or this, it says it's Kendra, but I'm assuming you're taking it.
I can take it, and if Kendra's here, she can chime in with any additional information. We were approached by members of the fire department, just concerned about our EAP program, our employee assistance program allows staff 3 mental health visits before the EAP ends, and it then goes to your medical insurance. And so Kendra did research and found this program. I've talked with Chief a little bit about it. Chief reached out and talked with the program. Our feeling and recommendation is that this is a service worth exploring. It's a relatively low cost, and to try and add this as additional, Chief found that they'll do 5 visits, teleconference visits as part of this program, and that there are some other resources provided in terms of educational as well as mental health services. And so we feel that the relatively low cost of this, it's worth trying for a year to evaluate and see if it is something that's well received and well utilized.
Alder Lawson.
So does this better align with what city employees receive now?
No, this would be in addition to what our other employees would receive. This would be an additional service.
So, but we're talking about the volunteer staff,
Correct.
right? So they already get all of the city.
They don't get all the city benefits, but in terms of the EAP, that is something that they have the same access to as the rest of our staff.
Okay. But this would then only apply to them?
Correct. It's only a service, as I understand it, provided to fire staff. And where the concern is coming from is we've had a number of sensitive calls regarding traffic accidents, and we've had some unfortunate situations that have presented some undue mental hardships to some of our firefighters. And I think the situation here is trying to look for additional resources, additional support for our firefighters.
I completely agree. I love that. I would like for us to look for something that could benefit all employees as well,
Okay.
because mental health is so important, and understandably with the fire and police staff coming across those situations, they're impacted a little more often, but there's all kinds of things going on in people's lives that it'd be nice if the rest of the staff could benefit too.
Alder Meyer.
I want to build off what Michael said. I think this is fantastic, and I want to thank Kendra and Matt for bringing this. Do I think we move forward with this? Yes, but I think the ask of this council needs to be that we have something brought forward for the police department as well that can encourage, well, whether it be our own EAP system, an increase there. Michael said it perfectly. It's not just the fire department seeing this stuff, so whatever we can do to do kind of the same thing for $2,000 a year, in between the two departments, would be the least of my concerns.
Alder Rusted.
The big difference, Kendra and Matt can correct me if I'm wrong, but full-time is covered under workers' comp, correct? they can put their mental illness under a workers' comp claim, where the volunteerism cannot. So it's there for them.
And then also I do have a new.
We need you at a microphone.
Sorry. I've never done this. Here I come. Hi.
Great.
Nice to meet you. Yeah, so I do have more insurance programs coming down the line for full-time city staff and permanent part-time staff as well. One is Champ Health, and the other is something the fire department already uses, which is Group Health. That's going to be offered to all city employees soon. I just have to finalize all those programs, and they do include mental health. So I just wanted to put that out there, that that is also coming down the line for our city employees. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kendra. Anything else on this? Are we good to move this on? We're good? All right. Next is consideration of mission, vision, and value statements. Matt?
So as a follow-up from the retreat that we held, these are synopsises in the packet put together by innovative public advisors who facilitated the retreat. And I am struggling with, let me get to the right place here. Apologize. So they kind of went through the process that they came to the mission statement. You'll remember they had us reflect on a lot of different things and exercises related to the mission. And they came with a draft mission statement of the City of Columbus serves its community by ensuring safety, delivering quality services, and fostering a vibrant, connected, and forward-looking place to live and work. And a draft vision statement of Columbus strives to be a vibrant city that blends historic charm with innovation and sustainable growth. We aim to provide exceptional services, welcoming neighborhoods, and opportunities for all, while maintaining the small-town spirit that defines our community. They then talked through the values process. You'll remember this was the sticky notes where we all talked about values and things, and so they talked through that there were several themes that emerged through that discussion, and a draft values statement. The City of Columbus values trust, communication, and community collaboration. We are committed to fostering thoughtful growth that preserves our small town character, ensuring safety and livability for all, embracing modernization while honoring our heritage, and enhancing quality of life through vibrant neighborhoods, strong infrastructure, and economic opportunity. They also identified a number of our values that we discussed during that process, and we've added the word core to make these the City of Columbus core values. And to give credit where credit is due, Kendra has been championing a slogan of Columbus to the core, and has been using that in our employee newsletter that goes out. And I was bored one night last week and gave AI a chance at drafting a logo, so that you may see more about our Columbus to the core concept as we try and brand that as a kind of an internal slogan, and maybe something that could be used outside of just the city organization as well in terms of a community slogan. But we have a draft mission, a draft vision, and draft core values, and looking for comments, feedback, and whether this is something that you want a workshop to talk about further, or are you ready to kind of move these forward to council for endorsement and move forward on these?
Alder Lawson.
I definitely think we should not move this forward to council. Nothing against the consultants that put this together, but I think I would prefer that not only the city councilors have opportunity to provide input, but also at least department heads. A workshop would be a great way to do that, so we could do it collaboratively and have the discussion on any kind of debate between choosing of words.
Anyone else?
All right, we can get this added then to a future workshop agenda.
All right, is everybody good with that decision? All right, that is where we'll go. Next, on the agenda is to convene to close session pursuant to section 19.85 subsection 1, subsection G, stats, conferring with legal counsel for the governmental body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is or is likely to become involved, specifically to discuss claims of excessive assessment filed pursuant to section 74.34 stats.
I'm going to move to convene the closed session based on state statute 19.85 sub 1 sub G.
Second.
We have a first by Alder Meyer and a second by Alder Rostad. We have to have roll call, right? Okay.
Meyer,
Yes.
Reed,
I
Lawson,
Aye.
Finkler,
Aye.
Rostad.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
All right, we'll be in closed session. We will be coming back after closed session. All right, welcome back, everybody, to tonight's Common Council meeting on Tuesday, July 15th at 7:52 PM. Can I get a roll? Call?
Finkler.
Here?
Lawson.
Here.
Hammer is excused. Meyer.
Here.
Reed.
Here.
Relke is absent. Rostad.
Here.
All right, Pledge of Allegiance. All
I
right,
acknowledge this meeting was posted and noticed according to law.
thank you. Next, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda, and that is with removal of 6 and 7.
So move with the suggested subtractions.
Second.
All right, got a first by Alder Rostad and a second by Alder Meyer. Any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. All right, for public comment, we do have Henry. Step on up. And name and address, please. And if you will, just a reminder to limit to 3 minutes.
Oh, I'm not going to take that long. Thank you very much. Henry Elling, 650 South Charles Street, and also a member of the Historic Preservation Commission here in Columbus. I'm here this evening on behalf of the commission to answer any questions that might come up regarding the designation of the City Hall. Otherwise, I have nothing more this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, we'll move on to the consent agenda, which includes the report for, as Henry mentioned, the local historic designation of City Hall, 105 North Dickinson Boulevard, and then also the June 2025 monthly report for Columbus Police Department and Columbus Public Library. I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
Reed second.
A first by Alder Meyer and a second by Alder Reed. Any discussion? Alder Lawson.
Yeah, so I'm curious about the Historic Landmark Preservation Commission. Could you possibly just give us an overview of what this really means?
Well, thank you for making my visit worthwhile. The designation was requested and recommended by the commission to make the local designation in place. The property and the structure is already on the National and State Register of Historic Places, and the expectation was that by making it a local landmark, it allows for local conversation if there were any discussion about modernizing or modifying the exterior of the property. So long as the building stays as is, there's no conversation or reason to visit with the commission. If there were, however, a future use that was changed in terms of not being a city hall anymore or a new user and they wanted to do exterior modifications, then this would allow for the commission to do a review of those changes and certify that they were historically appropriate and work with the state on any architectural modifications.
So the modifications that would be required are limited to the exterior of the building?
That's my understanding, yes.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate that.
You're welcome. Thanks for asking.
Thanks, Henry. Any other discussions or questions for Henry before he walks away? All right, we have a motion on the table to approve the consent agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. On to new business. Consider and take action on resolution number 8-25 for the purchase of Lot 1 of CSM 5730 for $400,000. Matt? Is that you or is that? Yeah.
It's me. I can talk about it. We have a offer to purchase, an accepted offer to purchase. This is land on Park Avenue It was, at one time, a planned assisted living facility was going to be placed there. There was a signage on the property. For those wondering, it's the non-corn planted version of Park Avenue on the north side of 73/Park Avenue. It's 4.2 acres. We would be buying it with the intent of identifying that as a site for future public safety building. And, the next item we'll talk a little bit more about as well. Answer any
Alright.
questions or clarify anything?
Do we have to signify by what fund we're pulling out of? Because it's in that
Yeah,
fund. Do we have the number?
The funding source is the proceeds of the sale to Dollar Tree of the land on James Street. There's roughly $424,000 in that fund with interest earned since those proceeds were placed in that fund. And Crystal started the process of transferring those funds to the general fund so that they'd be available for future wire transfer related to the sale or related to our acquisition of the property.
All right, I will entertain a motion on this.
So move to approve resolution 8-25 for the purchase of lot 1 of the CSM 5730 in the amount of $400,000.
Second.
First by Alder Rostad, a second by Alder Meyer. Any discussion? All right, roll call.
Lawson,
Aye.
Finkler,
Aye.
Meyer,
Aye.
Reed,
Aye.
Rostad.
Aye.
Ayes have it, 5-0.
All right. Next on the agenda is consider and take action on approval of the agreement with Olena Investments LLC, conditioned on closing on the property. Matt?
This agreement is with Olena Investments, essentially Kurt Hansen, his LLC. He has a restriction on the property that limits the use for assisted living. This agreement would grant us to build a future public safety building or municipal facility on this site. If in the event that the city does not use the property for city use and would put the property for sale, he would have rights to repurchase at the same terms as we have purchased it for, with first refusal. And that if no building or improvement are made within 5 years, Olena has the right to repurchase at the same terms that we purchased this evening, or the offer to purchase, I should say. And then there are requirements that the group that we're buying it from has requirements in terms of that we're agreeing to work with Olena on development of lots 2, 3, and 4 on the certified survey map 5730 and other lands owned by Olena adjacent to the property. Basically, we're going to work together on figuring out a plan for street and utility improvements that's mutually beneficial to both parties.
All right, I'm looking for a motion.
Make a motion to approve the agreement with Olena Investments LLC, conditioned on the closing of the property.
I'll second.
We have a first by Alder Meyer and a second by Alder Rostad. Does this need a roll call? No? All right. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, next on the agenda is consider and take action on membership in the National Volunteer Fire Council. I'll look for motion
So move.
to do what?
I'll make a motion to join membership in on the National Volunteer Fire Council.
Reed will read.
All right, we have first by Alder Meyer and a second by Alder Reed. Any discussion? Alder Rostad?
Do we need a dollar amount, or do we not? No.
I think it's under
Or is it-
spending
Does
authority,
it fall
right?
under you? Perfect.
It's under spending authority.
All right, any other discussion? Roll call.
Finkler.
Aye.
Meyer.
Aye.
Rostad.
Aye.
Lawson.
Aye.
Reed.
Aye.
Ayes have it, 5-0.
All right, next is consider and take action on claims in the amount of $302,977.
Make a motion to pay the claims in the amount of $302,977.00.
Second.
Got first by Alder Rostad and a second by Alder Meyer. Any discussion? Roll call.
Lawson.
Aye.
Reed.
Aye.
Finkler.
Aye.
Rostad.
Aye.
Meyer.
Aye.
Ayes have it, 5-0.
All right, next is report of city officers. Matt.
I'd ask that Chief Weiner be able to go first ahead of me.
All right, Chief.
Only if the council president acting as mayor allows you to do so.
He grunts. Do you just like assume I'm gonna say no?
He had a dejected look.
Yeah, he did. All right, Chief.
All right, just a couple of things and a new thing. Just a reminder, National Night Out is August 5th, 5:30 to 8. We'll have to see where the road construction project is. There may be some access and some parking issues. But I'll have David keep current with the blasts and the updates and stuff. And the high school parking lot is always a safe bet, or maybe the area adjacent to the aquatic center. But we'll just have to play it by ear, but access may be an issue. Just want to make people aware of that. Additionally, on July 29th, our department is participating in Cops at Culver's. It's a program they started in 2016 with 2 departments in the state, and now it's at over 100, where we will deliver food to tables, and people can give tips, and a certain percentage of the sales are going into a fund to help feed families that are in need. That'll be turned back to law enforcement, that we can help families that are in need if we come across someone who needs a meal or something like that. So our target hours are going to be likely 11:30 to 1:30 and from 5 to 8. But we may be there all day, depending on, I have to look at our schedule now that Officer Kraus has finished her training, is in the rotation. We have some extra flex to put her or others there for the entire day. The Wisconsin State Patrol will also be joining us, so come out and see us on that day if you would like. And lastly, everyone knows the construction on North Ludington Street has started and the railroad tracks are hard closed, and people just seem to have a struggle with what road closed means. And we've had people moving barricades, going around barricades, cutting through that side gravel driveway from Ludington Street along the tracks to North Spring Street, and it got to be a real problem last night. And I talked to the DOT project engineer last night. I actually called her, expecting to get her voicemail at 9:30, and she answered. And we talked about it. Some more signs were brought out today. I think now with where they're at with the project and with equipment, and Julie's Java House has agreed to have us put up the barricades that hard closes her driveway, so people can't, coming into town on 73, go around barricades and then get to Julie's and scoot through. But it was a real problem last night. We've been very visible there. We made a lot of stops. It is clearly posted. So that was an issue. But along with that, now we have a collateral issue, that the people that are obeying the signs have turned North Lewis Street into a racetrack. We got complaints today about speeding vehicles out there, and they were very accurate. So I was out there. I just wanted to go out there and observe for a while, and I made 4 traffic stops in 45 minutes. So we are going to be very visible on North Lewis Street in the next 2 weeks. And it is very well signed that it's 25 miles per hour. But that's just kind of a collateral issue. I may have David put out something tomorrow, just a reminder to citizens, but it's all the traffic that are, trying to get out to 73, and it's actually both ways. It's mostly going out of town, but some coming in as well. And that's a horrible road, especially for a traffic stop. The lanes are narrow, there's no shoulders. It's just a bad mix. A traffic stop is actually an obstruction on that section of road. So, but we're doing it because it is a problem enough that we were getting calls today from residents on that stretch. And that's all I have. Thank you. Oh, thank you for reminding me. National Night Out this year, we're adding another twist to it. We're asking that people bring a non-perishable food item that's going to be donated to the Columbus Fall River Food Pantry. We thought we'd try that this year. There's such a large attendance at that event. I think it would be, make the community proud to support the food pantry that helps a lot of families that are in need. So we're going to give that a try, see where it goes. They were very excited when we reached out to them with the ideas. So please come, please enjoy the night, and please bring something with you. And we'll keep the post going about what the project is, the status is of whether or not they're going to be able to park on Park Avenue, or what some alternate ideas are before it gets, the event is here and we're scrambling and have traffic jams and all that other fun stuff. Thank you.
Alder Rostad, no, you're good? You're good now. Okay, Matt.
I just have one thing. I want to share my appreciation and thanks to the 4th of July Committee and city staff. I know some departments are impacted more than others. Police Department, Public Works come to mind. But just want to thank especially the 4th of July Committee, the volunteers, for putting on, again, an excellent event that showcases the community. I think there's a sense of pride in that the community celebrates the 4th of July in the way that they do. And again, I think it's a great family fun, family entertainment, and kudos to them for all of the work that they put into providing the event.
All right, next on the agenda is convene to close session per 19-85 sub 1 sub E, deliberating or negotiating the purchase of public properties, the investment of public funds, or conducting other public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require closed session, specifically to discuss 1149 West James Street.
So move.
Second.
First by Alder Meyer and a second by Alder Rostad. Roll call.
Lawson.
Aye.
Reed. Rostad.
Aye.
Finkler.
Aye.
Meyer.
Aye.
Ayes have it, 5-0.
We will be returning to open session. Somebody's gotta let David know.
Okay, so I was gonna say, Molly should ask if the council wants to take action on number 9, and if you're gonna make that motion, then you can just beat her to it. So that,
Just wait till we get the thumbs up, though.
no, don't skip to adjourn.
All right, we are back on the air. And I will be looking for a motion to,
I'm gonna,
go ahead.
I'm gonna move to, make a motion to move to take no action regarding
There you go. That's what it was.
1149 West James Street.
Second?
No, it needs to be agenda item 9 and 10.
That doesn't address what you're trying to do, so
Yeah.
your motion should say that you want to take no action on matters 9 and 10.
Oh, I was just going for 1149.
Well, or then just 9.
Motion to take no action regarding item number 9 and item number 10.
Second?
First by Alder
Reed
Meyer
will re-seconds.
and a second by Alder Reed. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Move
All
to
right.
adjourn.
Dang. All right.
Second.
We got a first to adjourn from Alder Lawson and a second from Alder Meyer. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned.